How are you using AI in your business? And how should you be using AI? And are you spending enough time, money, and resources in R&D? And how do you know if it's too much or too little? As business leaders, trying to navigate the complexities of AI can be challenging. But I think it's particularly difficult if you are a leader in the middle market space. If you're a small business, you've got every app you can possibly imagine to help you figure some things out and move faster. And if you're a large business, you've got all these enterprise opportunities that you can scale in addition to the people. But with that middle market, spend too little or on the wrong things that you're not able to capitalize, and spend too much. And now you know you're not getting that benefit. And so, how do you get that sweet spot? That is what we are going to talk about today. I am so excited to be here with Lenore Vassil, former coworker, colleague, friend, client, and all things co-conspiracy. So welcome, Lenore. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So
Fun topic.
before we get started, I just need to brag on you just a little bit in terms of sharing your credentials, because Lenore is an expert in this middle market space and really on the forefront of the AI. And so you are going to want to listen to this and really get some of those pro tips on how you want to lead further faster. But first of all, Lenore is a technology transformation executive who helps high growth companies rapidly scale their enterprise technology to achieve aggressive business goals. And who doesn't have that? And so, formerly with WeWork, so she has been in the fire, highs and lows, Bank of America and MTV. She's got deep experience leading complex change at global companies across many industries in high growth and during economic headwinds. And based on our year this year, we never know which way we're going, right? So that is amazing. And then she's currently a fractional CIO and CTO that helps mid-sized companies create and execute strategic technology roadmaps that enable their growth goals, and is an advisory board member to startups. So she's here to help us really dig into how do we unpack this? And more importantly, how do we make sure that we're making the right decisions for our companies and for our teams and for our clients? So, Lenore, I cannot wait to dig into this with you. So I'd love for you to share your insights on how fast is AI moving? It seems like every time I turn around, there's something new, and I'm always feeling behind the curve. So share with us your insights on that.
Fast, really fast. I saw this recent statistic from Gartner that was really good. It said Facebook got to 1 million customers in 10 months. Spotify got there in 5 months. Instagram got there in 2.5 months. ChatGPT, 5 days. 5 days. And so now, there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's a whole bunch of others entering the market immediately right after. I mean, it is super, super fast. And it's not only going to market fast, but it makes you, meaning a company, it can make you fast. I know people that have created apps and launched apps where ChatGPT is their engineering team, and they're using it to build the code, and they're doing it faster than ever. And so what it has done, I mean, is a breakthrough technology in its ability to be generative AI. You're only limited by your creativity on how you're going to use it and go to market. And so companies are leapfrogging their competition. They're getting into different markets. Entrepreneurs are building apps faster and cheaper than ever by using this type of technology. So yes, it's going really, really fast.
That's incredible. And so I think the regenerative AI is the stuff everybody talks about, but there's so many other elements of AI that companies can use.
Yes.
So how fast is the whole spectrum moving, right? In terms of
Yeah.
machine learning and all the data crunching, which gets me excited as a data geek, right? I love that. But what are you seeing on the other areas of AI and business usage?
Well, AI has been around for a while, and I
Oh,
think
sure.
what happened is that there was this kind of lull where the last big thing was, natural language processing, where you can talk to Alexa, and you can say, "Hey, can I want that? Can you get this done for me?" And before that, there's, machine learning with sensing and predicting, and there's robotics, and we've got, the again, the promise of self-driving cars, and there's virtual and augmented reality, and gaming and all these different things. But the beauty of it, with generative AI on top, is that creative fusion on how do you put it all together. And that's where the opportunity really lies in companies being creative on how they take those different components and go to market with it, or use it internally to make them more efficient. Because every technology project, it's solving one of three problems. You're either driving revenue, you're reducing costs, or you're reducing risk, or a combination of all three.
Right.
It's going to be those three. So depending upon what's going to give you that competitive edge, whether you're launching a new product to drive revenue, whether you're really looking to automate your back office and really reduce costs, or like in the banking industry, using it for eliminating fraud, or detecting fraud and doing those types of things, which really saves them a lot of money from an operational standpoint. So that fusion, that creative fusion, it's kind of like cooking. I don't know if you like to cook, but like when you take the different elements of different things and you create this whole new cuisine, it's that same thing. Companies that can be really creative of taking the different technologies, applying them to their business, and then going to market with that type of solution, that's what's going to give them that competitive edge.
So, in your perspective, how is the speed helping and hurting? Because there's always both sides of the coin, the middle market sector.
Well, there's FOMO. There's like, oh my God, I need to be doing this. Somebody else is doing it. And so, there's this worry, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? Just like what you're saying in the beginning. And you have big companies that are just throwing money at it and seeing where it's sticking. They have no real strategy. But you have to be really deliberate about it. And so, for example, if you're, being very cash conscious, you have to, it's all in the business case. It's like, all right, what am I trying to achieve with this? Because if you're just doing FOMO and you're just adding it in, and it's costly, these things are not cheap. Actually, I'm gonna change my answer there. There are some AI software off the shelf that you could implement very, very quickly that will reduce costs in your company. Okay.
Yeah.
If you find the right ones, like those are simple, no-brainers, just go ahead and do it.
Right.
But the other ones that are game changing for your company are going to take more time. They're going to take more effort. And so you have to be very intelligent. I call it an intelligent bet. You need to make an intelligent bet as where you're going to put your time and energy, where it's really going to make a material impact in either your revenue, your expenses, or your risk.
Hmm.
And making those decisions, that's the responsibility of the C-suite and the board to say, all right, let's assess these opportunities and then make an intelligent bet. And then, you do like a very iterative pilot project, start small, minimum viable product.
Absolutely. Life around the MVP,
Build.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Build, deploy, learn, build, deploy, learn. Good ideas are going to go really deep and they're going to go really fast. Bad ideas are going to die fast. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
And so it's getting into that rhythm of making an intelligent bet and then just iterating on that bet, but only making one or two bets. I mean, when you're a mid-sized company, you can't be making a whole bunch of bets. Like focus on something that's going to make a material impact.
Yeah. And I think that makes so much sense because there is so many things to choose from and really getting clear on what those goalposts are and getting the organization comfortable with saying this didn't work.
Right.
Because we're not usually very good at that, right? Our ideas are supposed to work. And so getting that experimental mindset into hyperdrive is something as leaders, I think, especially in the middle market spaces, because again, fail fast and move forward. Um,
Absolutely. absolutely. Because you just don't have the time or money to invest in something that's not going to make a material
Yeah, no,
difference.
you don't have hundreds of people you can chuck into R&D and play with every toy for,
No,
you know, the next year to figure out what your thing is. It's not an option. And I think
right.
with how fast the new things are coming out, it is even more important to stay aware and agile, because that next big thing that came out so fast because of all the other tech that makes them move quicker could really be that secret sauce that you're looking for.
Yes,
And
yes. Or
so,
it
oh
could be
yeah,
a
go ahead.
component that you layer into your
Mhm.
offering or into your back office that you didn't really think would give you a competitive edge, but will.
Yeah, totally. And so when you're working with senior leaders and boards of middle market companies, what are you advising them and how should they be thinking about success? What does it look like?
1 million users in 5 days.
You too can have this, maybe, or maybe not.
That, is something that spreads like a good virus, like that's what you want. I've had a good example of that was the product Slack. Um, Slack spread like a virus in companies because they were giving it away free. Employees loved it. Senior leaders didn't know what it was, weren't using it, it wasn't even on their radar. And then employees demanded it. And that was a beautiful business model. So what success looks like is that there's really no resistance either from your employees to adopt it or from your customers to adopt it. They're actually opting in and there's a wait list. Like they're wanting it. That's what success looks like. There's also no user manuals. Okay. There's no training. It's so effortless and so easy that you know exactly what to do and you move forward. Okay. If there has to be some kind of training program, if it's an internal project and that the training program is, I've got 10 hours of training. No, it should be so effortless that people just adopt it. They know what they're doing and they move forward. And then from a financial perspective, I mean, it has to pay for itself in a year, honestly,
Okay.
or 3 years. 3 years is max. I mean, especially if you're PE backed, like you need when you're going in and you're doing a transformation in an organization and you're using technology as that value creator,
Hmm.
like you need to be seeing that benefit in at least 3 years. Because if there's let's say a 5 year holding period, it takes you a year to figure out what you're going to do. It's going to take 3 years to actually build it and get it in. And then you need a year to actually reap the benefit. So it's got to be paying for itself and it has to be material. It can't be one of these things where, you're going to get fingers and toes of certain departments and those types of things. No, it has to be really, really transformational, using those words to make sure it's going to be worth your time and effort to roll out. And so those intelligent bets on this is where you're going to be placing your money, and then everybody has to be all in. You can't be having debates and all that kind of stuff. It has to be like everybody agrees this is what we're doing, all in. And then you're making that investment with confidence, and then you'll have confidence that you'll actually deliver on that investment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think part of defining that success is narrowing your focus. I definitely have shiny object syndrome. I love all the different things, and a lot of my clients do too. But yet, when you decide that you're going to double down on either productivity, your customer experience, or innovation of some sort, then just do that.
Yes.
There's a million other awesome things out there for everything else you need. But again, to your point about that ROI, about success and having it come naturally and much more organic within the organization. When they're too scattered, then you're half pregnant with everything and you're actually not going to get anything done.
You're not going to get anything done. You're not going to get any. And then when we were in companies that I've worked for, when we're looking through the list of requests and ideas, there are business cases for AI or any technology. There's a business case in every department. I mean, HR can benefit from it, finance can benefit from it, legal can benefit from it, sales can benefit from it, everybody can benefit from it. But then it's like, okay, what's the ROI? Are you going to be benefiting, is it $1 million? Is it $10 million? Is it only $100,000? Like, what are we talking about here? And then how do we then focus on that one that's really going to make the difference?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
all in on.
And I think that's where having a strong board helps.
Yes.
In terms of getting all of these great ideas and all these I wants. Because one of my clients did something I thought was really interesting in that they didn't commit to anything in terms of the new, AI and how to bring all the different pieces of AI into the organization. But they did give key people in each department carte blanche to go and experiment and research and play for 3 months. Then they came back and they each did a presentation to the board and the executive team on their findings. And it was basically a beauty contest, and again, they were like, okay, here's our 3 triggers. It's revenue, it's customer sat, it's productivity. Those were their 3 priorities. And like everything had to connect to one or more of those. And it was just really interesting because then these groups started to share what they were doing with each other. To much what you said, I love that fusion concept, right? Of, oh, well, if we did your thing and attached it to this thing, then it's even better. And it was just an amazing experiment that didn't cost a lot of money because people did it on their spare time. They didn't invest in anything because they wanted to think first and then make that decision. And then once they finally got to that, the bake-off, if you will, then they were able to go all in on a solution that everyone believed in because they all sat, through the process and were part of the decision-making process.
I love it. I mean, it's like Shark Tank, it's a pitch contest. And but that's that you have to get the corporate process to be like that.
Yeah.
And so that everybody's got to go in with their best business case and their best pitch. There's a pot of money, and it's like, where are you going to put that money?
Yes.
And then everybody can see what everybody else is pitching, and may the best idea win. And then everybody rallies around that idea to make it successful.
Yeah.
That to me, that's what success looks like in a company, in your decision-making process, as well as in your execution of it. Because it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to do this. It's another thing, there's always a great idea, but without execution,
it's just an idea, right? Yeah.
It's just an idea. But in order to make sure and ensure success on execution, you got everybody bought in. But it doesn't, not so much consensus of an opinion. It's the strength of the business case is undeniable. That's what it has to be. It's not that you've conceded to make sure everybody was happy. It's undeniably the best thing for the company. And so everybody's all in.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Great stories and advice and anecdotes for sure. And so with all these great ideas swirling around, and now leaders that are watching this are like, okay, there's new ways to think about how to do this in a more productive way. Who should lead this?
Every successful technology project needs 2 leaders. One is the senior most technology executive. So that's either the CIO, the CTO, or the head of IT, whatever level.
Whatever they're called, whatever flavor it is, right?
Called. Yeah, the senior most technology executive and the senior most business leader whose team's going to be using the software, whether that's the CFO, the COO, the CRO, whoever it is. Like if it's a product, it's the sales has got to know how to sell it, and the operations team has to know how to operate it. But both leaders need to be equally engaged, because if either side is lacking, the risk of failure increases exponentially. Okay. So if the business leader is not engaged, tech runs the risk of building something that no one uses.
Oh, for sure. Okay. Yeah.
And if the tech leader is not engaged, the business runs the risk of building something that doesn't work or scale. And so that collaboration and healthy tension between both sides is the only way to success. And so if you've got 4 leaders, nobody's leading. But those two leaders, one that's really driving the operation of the project, and one's driving the technology of the project, those two leaders,
Mhm.
in my opinion, that's who should lead.
Yeah. And it's interesting because what I've seen, to your point earlier about how easy most of these are, or many of these are in terms of adoption, that the business is running with scissors.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
It's like,
I love
I
that.
can get it, I
Yes.
can use it. And, before you know it, their entire department is dependent on this one toy or gadget, and then tech isn't even aware in some cases, right? Because of
Right.
how the infrastructure or the internal workings go. And I think that's a really good point in terms of, usually we depend on our tech partners for everything third party and custom built, depending on what a company's doing. And now it's not necessary anymore.
No, no, with the evolution of SaaS, the software, the inner workings of IT when it comes to the infrastructure and the network and your laptop and those types of things, you're really dependent upon the technology organization. But when it comes to software, business software, the SaaS companies have really cut out the IT organization
They
because
have.
the business can work directly with the SaaS company and get it up and running. And that'll get you level one of that software. And then you'll be running. But when you want to get to the next level of maturity and the next level of integration, and you're really scaling your company, that's when that level's not going to be good anymore. It's just not going to scale. And the same goes for AI. So yes, you can get it, that you could do that little pilot and say, yeah, it's working. But if you're not addressing some of the bias issues, the hallucination issues, the data processing and aggregation issues, and all of those things, you're not going to be able to scale, and you're not going to be able to get to the level of maturity that you're going to want to get to. So it's got to be layered into the strategy to make sure you've got a balance of tech expertise as well as business expertise to make sure it's going to be successful.
Yeah. And even especially in early days, because what you don't want to have is, much to your point, that SaaS where you can play with it in your own little, incubating area. But then you're going to fall in love with this and find out that you can't actually scale this for whatever reason when tech comes in, and then they're the evil monster because
Right.
so it's really good to have them involved as early as possible. And I think, building that relationship and co-partnering from an accountability perspective builds a strong dynamic within the organization too, right? Because you've got, many, two lenses on the same issue to make sure you come over the finish line with a success.
Right. And it's hard. These projects are hard. They're not slam dunks. And you're going to run into issues, and there's going to be finger pointing, and there's going to be all that kind of stuff. And so there has to be two accountable leaders, okay, that are going to say the buck stops here. Is the tech is not working, or if the functionality is designed wrong, it ends there in order to make sure that it's a successful project. Because like I said, these are investments of money and time, and you don't have a huge window. And so you've got to get it done. So everybody has to be really diligent in the decisions that are made, and to make sure that the execution is going to be well done.
Absolutely. And based on what you're seeing out there, how is staff responding, and how should they be responding if there is a difference?
Well, like anything, it depends, right? There will be employees who fear it, and there's others that are going to embrace it and make it work for them. There's always, those two camps, and then there's those skeptics in between. But like I was saying before, if the business case for the project is so compelling that it makes so much business sense, everybody wants it to succeed. Even those people who know it may mean a shift in their responsibilities. They really do. I mean, if you have really engaged employees who love your product and love your company, they want your company to succeed, and it will be so compelling that they'll say, yes, we need to do this. And leaders need to have straight talk. They need to tell the truth. Anytime I've seen leaders, skirt around the issue of, yeah, maybe what, people see through that.
They
They
know.
that they know. And so if jobs are going to be lost, like address it head on. Provide a plan for reskilling. So, give stay bonuses, work through dates, packages, those types of things. People appreciate it when
Mhm.
you treat them with respect and honesty, and people will go above and beyond when they feel like they've been treated with respect. And if they love the company, and like I said, the business case is compelling, you got to have that straight talk, you
Yeah.
know, and lead from there, and it will be successful.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maureen Metcalf, who is from Innovative, the Institute for Innovative Leadership, she has a lot about leadership and AI and stuff like that. And she got a great saying that she had during our summit this year when we did this Disrupted Summit in April. And she's like, people are afraid they're going to be losing their jobs to AI, but they're actually going to be losing their jobs to people who know how to use AI.
Yes. Yes, it's true. It's
Hmm.
true. And so there are these a great example of AI that I've been following that I love is these like AI assisted surgeries now.
Yes.
Okay, and these like AI hospitals and surgeries, and that's an example of the fusion with, it's the robotics plus the generative AI that's going and assessing the situation and looking, for the trends, and is diagnosing the disease, but is also like there's the machine learning that's doing the sensing and the predicting of, okay, all of the vitals. It's all of it together. It doesn't eliminate the surgeon's role. Okay, it's assisting the surgeon and making the surgeon better. And so the surgeons that are afraid of AI, that don't know how to work with it, okay, are the ones that are going to become obsolete, because the ones that then can use it are going to be the ones that are going to be sought after, because they are now superhuman, because they are AI assisted.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the same thing if you take that concept to anything that you're doing, whether it's in education, you're a teacher. Are you afraid that it's going to eliminate your job? Or are you an AI assisted teacher who's even better and has, AI agents that are tutors for your students, that are tutoring them with your specific type of learning mechanisms? Like that is how people will do better with AI, is that they'll use it to take what they're doing and make it even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing when you hear all about these things that are happening, especially in the medical community, in terms of diagnosis and things like that. It's just, and I think it just will ultimately level the playing field, for low income countries and areas where the medical support is even more scarce, right?
Incredible. Yes, I really do believe that. There is an article that uh, Bill Gates wrote back in, I think it was like November, and it was called AI is about to completely change how you use computers. And it's written in very plain English. I sent it to my parents and some of my family members and my friends that are not in tech, because everybody's like, what about AI? And Bill Gates does an excellent job of talking about like where it can go, where it is now, where it can go, what some of the pitfalls are, and the things that we still haven't figured out, and the potential that it can help from a social impact
Yeah.
perspective, especially in healthcare and in education, and making it more accessible to really anybody with a browser, which is
Yeah.
like that 1 million in 5 days kind of thing.
Sure.
So it's very, very exciting.
It
Um,
is.
and it's those people that embrace it. I went to this it was a symposium. It was at the Fashion Institute of Technology. And there were students there who were concerned about generative AI taking away or devaluing their education in design
Hmm.
um, and fashion, because now it can do it all. And there was a lot of questions around that, and they were very, very concerned. But then came in a very legendary designer who was in the process of building an AI agent in her likeness. And she put in all of her designs, and she expects that this AI agent is going to live beyond and going to design her fashions forever when she passes.
Well, you know,
And so,
just
but
blows
then
your mind.
exactly. But then here is a woman who wants her business of fashion to live beyond her. And she is her business. And so the same concept, when you take that to a middle market company, okay, how do you make that company live beyond where it is or go beyond where it is? How do you take that intellectual property that you have, or that data that you and only you have because of what you do, and turn that into something that can live beyond or reach beyond or make other people better? That's that creative fusion and being strategic about how you're making investments in AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Such great conversations. And I know we're almost out of time. I would love to invite you back to go down the rabbit holes of social impact and eliminating bias and morals and ethics in AI, because we could talk for hours on this. So maybe,
Yes, we
maybe
could.
we'll do a second chapter on this one.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So, what are your parting words for those who are watching in terms of what should their next thing and their next step be?
Well, I loved that idea that you had about like giving everybody 2, 3 months carte blanche, go investigate on your own time. Don't spend a lot of money, but go investigate and then have a pitch contest. I mean, it just, if anything, it get the team excited, and then pick one, just one,
Mhm.
and focus there and get everybody to rally there. I think if you really feel like you want to be investing in AI, that is a great way to get started, and just to make sure that it's a material impact on your company.
Wonderful. Well, I know you spend all of your happy days advising clients on how to navigate this and many more tech-enabled solutions. So, how can people find you?
I am on LinkedIn, so just you can find me there.
Great. So it's Lenore Vassil, the founder of Dagney Ventures. So feel free to cyber stalk away and reach out to Lenore if you are, if the conversation resonated with you, as well as, if your organization is in need of a little bit more support as you navigate the exciting version and the world of AI. So thanks again, everyone, for watching today. I'm Tammy Alvarez, the founder of the Career Winner Circle, where we empower business leaders to make a big impact and love every Monday again. And we are still managing human beings despite all the conversations of AI, and Loving Monday is exactly where it's at. So thanks again for watching, and we'll be back with another episode soon. Thanks, Lenore.
Thanks, Tammy.